Good evening, good evening, good evening. Hope everybody's doing well. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Welcome to BeoTalk 292.
Indeed.
Uh, as per usual, go buy some Skinny Play stuff. Use the promo code to get 10% off. Come join our Discord. We're nearly at 1,000, which means the links won't be needed pretty soon because you can actually Google us pretty soon if we get to 1,000.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. We're gonna be on Google.
Yeah, it's just I feel happy about that, as in like it's a lot of people, right? But it's also sort of like the riffraff will come in.
I could care less about the riffraff.
Yeah, but it means more moderating.
Yeah, but we kind of got past maybe drinking bourbon on the podcast too, so
Yeah, you offend less people. Is that what you're saying?
pretty much. So yeah, we should be fine.
Yeah, that's about it. How's your week been?
It was interesting. I went to Quebec City and did a theater install that was pretty interesting with a set of 18s and a good old BeoLab 5s that are uh, that are the fronts. But the weird thing that I found or noticed when I did the tuning, it set the theater's up firing drivers for rear height.
Hmm.
Never seen that before. I don't know if it was just a bug or something. Regular size room, nothing too weird. But yeah, that was one of the quirks. But yeah, other than that, not much. I guess everybody woke up on Tuesday morning, at least on this side of the country, to a major disaster. Which I don't know, man. We are having an April Fool's joke by our prime minister, and everything's going up by 23% as of April 1st, and probably it's going to go even more now that they
What
can't get anything.
prices?
Yeah, carbon tax is going up by 23%.
Wait, so does that impact B&O customers?
That impacts everything.
Oh, jolly.
Well, for BNO, it's not like BNO is going to get 23% more expensive. It's just the cost of getting it here is going to be 23 more expensive.
Oh,
Yeah,
jeez.
yeah, a lot of laughs in Canada.
Well, I take
Today's
it.
the last
I
day of
mean, you
freedom, I
can't take
guess.
that on the chin as a importer, right? Like you kind of have to. Like,
It's gonna get passed down to the last person in line, which is the consumer. All the food's going up 23%. Everything's going up 23%. Shipping, fuck, because especially shipping, because like you're burning carbon, right?
well,
It's gonna be fun.
okay.
Everything's going up except the paychecks. I should fucking charge carbon tax on my timesheets now.
Well, you have to get there. You're burning carbon.
For the toner. So,
uh, yeah, that's pretty shite.
and like politicians are pushing and whatever. I don't want to get all political about it, but it's kind of inevitable based on how screwed we're going to be as of tomorrow. Uh, yeah, it's not fun, and he's just holding on to it like a tick.
Hmm.
The delusion is real in our country. So, yeah.
Uh,
How do you get new core, Matt? We haven't even gotten ours in the shop because I guess the carbon tax increase, everything's just gotten delayed now.
apparently
Connors.
in Canada, it's 1,700 Canadian.
Yes.
So that's probably going to go up by what, $50 or something?
I don't know. I guess that goes to the logistics of how much you order and what this whole package would cost, right? To ship in, and then it breaks down from there. But I don't know. I don't know if are they doing that by well, shipping, right? So it's by weight more or less, and like you don't pay the same for a say you ship a standard Amazon box and you put fucking lead in it. It's not going to be $20 like if you just put a couple bubble wrapped plates in it, right, or whatever.
I
So
wonder
I
if
think
it's
it's
that down to the because you have to measure that incredibly. I mean, you at this point you're gonna have to like buy a shipping container full of new cores.
I think it's gonna come like that ripoff more or less. It's gonna be more felt by people that ship just by like Canada Post, UPS domestically, or like not somebody that has a contract that just load up a pallet and then they ship it by the pallet amounts, right? Where you as a regular human being normally don't ship pallets to people. So
Yeah. Well, pray for
sucks.
Canada, I guess.
Sucks. But yeah, I haven't gotten the new core yet. I think it's supposed to show up. I think it's in a week. I'm hoping.
It says
So,
end of March, which is today.
Yeah, but we got an email that it gotten delayed. So yeah, I don't know. I'm waiting for it. I'm excited. I'm gonna plug in as many speakers as we have around.
Maybe the demand is crazy high in Europe because Europe tends to get it first.
So it should be based on what the specs are on it. I think it's gonna be a major ass kicker in a USB-C territory, which is how many people have 50s and 90s in Europe. I don't think I don't think that many that it would halt the production for North America. So
yeah, I mean there aren't that many 50s and 90s in North America.
No, you're more or less an anomaly having two pairs.
Yes, I know. Did you do any Easter related things?
Not at all. Not at all. I worked all week this week. I actually worked on Saturday as well. Yesterday I went to do a little small pre-wire for a BeoLab 28s on the wall. Our first BeoLab 28s that are going to be wall mounted. So I met with the electrician and the contractor, put fucking 3/4-inch plywood. I'm like, dude, take anything loose out of the wall.
Yeah.
because she gonna start dancing.
Is it wooden studs
No,
or metal?
it's on 43rd floor. Oh, and there's another funny story, but this is not really that funny, but it's funny to me because I wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
Was it Tuesday morning? Yeah, Tuesday I was in the shop doing whatever, fixing stuff, and we're having a smoke, and Julien, the other salesman, comes up with the picture of the guys that are doing a Lutron blinds in an apartment on 51st floor. Two of the rolls did not fit in the elevator.
Oh no.
So it was a picture of them on the 33rd floor, just fucking gassed completely. Just head in the palm in your hands, right? And just done, man. And they had to do 2 trips so I think they did 106 floors that day, or 102 floors, 51st. Yeah.
The worst thing I ever had was nowhere near close to that, but it was I helped move my sister and the headboard of her bed didn't fit in the lift and we had to go 12 stories up.
Yeah, I know. I think this one goes down in the history of Quebec Sound as the worst. Holy fuck, was that?
Wait, wow. Did nobody measure the lifts or something beforehand?
You know what I would have done, honestly? I would have called the maintenance guy and tell him to pop the fucking exit hatch on the elevator so you can just stick it up there, right, as you ride. Or I would figure something before I would have myself a double 51-story cardio. But yeah, that must have been a shitty day for them, for sure. I feel bad for you boys.
Well, I guess it's a good calf workout. You can't be. You're not able to even drive the next day. Like you're so sore.
Oh my god! And it's not like it's a heavy. Like the roll has some weight to it, but it's a huge tube of aluminium with motors in it, right?
Yeah, it's not 50 pounds.
But it's not 50 pounds. But it's awkward as fuck because you have to maneuver it around, right? Yeah. Like you always have to go low, down, up, around the railings 51 times.
This is a free calisthenics.
So yeah, that was
a core workout with blinds.
Oh god! Speaking of core, so yeah, that was what was interesting this week. And other than that, not much happened. I can't even recall. I just jobs after jobs.
Interesting. Yeah. You can't do chocolate egg hunt here because it's Florida and it's way too hot and everything melts.
Oh yeah, it's funny. I was talking to my mom. They had like an inch and a half of snow in Calgary. It's +7 over here, so I'm happy. I'm very happy with my circumstance.
I mean, it's essentially summer here. It's shorts weather. It's swimming weather.
From where I'm from, it's always summer in Florida, bro. You guys have a little bit
Same.
of rain and wind, and then it's just nice.
I mean, Stefan was here during the week, and he just brought a shit ton of rain with.
Damn. Well, hopefully, yeah. Well, he brought the sticks for me, so that was great.
Sweet.
And it's funny how I was talking to him yesterday that in what disbelief the poor guy was when he came back to Montreal, what the roads are. I'm like, well, now you feel how I felt when I first entered Montreal City. What the fuck is with roads? It's
Yeah.
it's unfathomable, y'all. Like you cannot conceive how bad the roads are here until you come here and you drive a car.
Maybe they're trying to make Russia look good or something.
I honestly believe it's almost like a very good method against distracted driving because you look at your phone, bro, or you pop a tire. So everybody's on it. Fuck, man. Sometimes it looks like people are drunk driving, but all they're doing is avoiding holes on the ground.
Wow.
It is insane. I know that I think my bearings on the left front wheel are slowly grinding to a replacement already.
Johnny.
Yeah. Thank God I bought a new suspension before I moved out. So at least that was good investment for now. But yeah, I think the best car in Montreal is not a Tesla, but maybe an electric Jeep, I guess, if you want to go Greenway or
Or a literal truck, like an off-road truck.
Yeah, you need an off-road truck in here. It's you need thick tires. Like I do not understand all these people with 911s and performance cars and shit driving around downtown Montreal. I do not understand why would you do that to the vehicle. I would put it on a flatbed of a truck and drive it around the city like that so people can see it, but I would never drive it on the road because it's just insanity. Insanity. Visit Montreal, people. I'll give you a tour.
Pothole.
We'll give you a pothole tour. I'll take you down freaking Christopher Colomb Road, and you will never believe that actually exists. Which the only reason why I know that road, and I know it's just as bad because that's one of the most frequently taken roads back from the warehouse. So I understand that B&O is a torture chamber, but I think they should send the product for testing into Montreal.
Just see if it survives shipping in the back of a lorry.
Send the ends over here, rent them out a truck, and have them drive around for 2 days around the Montreal, and then take it out and test it. See how many chips fell off the board.
Wow. Yeah. All right.
But yeah, nothing more new. I think the interesting thing that came up yesterday when Stefan got home, his stereo paired BeoSound Emerge does not have the sound modes in it, but the single one does. So there's still some sort of an issue with the app.
Is it on the latest updates? Have you updated the app? Have you plugged it in and out again?
Maybe that also, right? Because he just fired it up when it was Where the fuck is it? I thought it was a text message. Let's go here and show you.
Because I think in the most recent
built-in 1, 2, 3, 4.
Weird,
isn't it? And so I sent him this. Mine works. Here's another weird thing I had. I was installing a stage because there was a trade-in program for the theater to stages, so we traded a whole bunch of them in, and they got sold as well. So I took it home. I took the stage home because it was Friday morning install, So I took it home on Thursday. And I'm like, okay, I'll look at it, make sure that it's clean, factory reset it, set it up. I'm like, fuck, man, I haven't had a stage in here, so I figured I'd listen to it a bit. Fucking impressive, very impressive. And then I packed it up, installed it on a dude's wall, and we both have Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra phones.
Yeah.
On his phone, I could barely pair it. I had to take over the account so I could put the stage in.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you select the radio, unable to communicate with the product. While I'm in his account on mine on the same Wi-Fi, I open the radio because Deezer is Deezer, right? Like that goes by the accounts usually. Sometimes if it doesn't bug out on the access control,
Mm-hmm.
I can play radio. I can control the volume. I can control everything. He can't. He's not able to do anything. I uninstalled the app, reinstalled the app. We checked the software. Mine was out of date, so I'm like, fuck. Okay, I'll update I updated my phone while I was there with him. Now we're both on the same software UI or EUI, whatever One UI version is the Samsung's. His phone will not connect to the stage.
It's bizarre.
Answer me that. Same phone, different fucking cover, but I don't think that makes a difference, right?
It shouldn't.
No, you need to have a Samsung cover. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it completely just blew my mind. And he wasn't keen on the. He's like, I just want one radio station. I'm like, cool. So I set the radio station up, and you just press the circle on the stage; it'll turn on. I'm happy with that. But I'm like, fuck. Okay, you're happy with it, but I'm not happy with the fact that it ain't working.
Yeah, it
Rebooted
also
it.
it's by now almost a legacy product, right? Like it's been out for what, 5 years?
Yeah, it's been out for a while.
Like this should work, but I have a feeling it's most likely just the app because so much stuff has changed that I almost don't feel it's very much regression tested.
I don't know, but it's a little bit scary to me, I guess, moving forward, because is this going to be the same abandonment of the ASC products over time as there was with the BLC or BeoLink converter or network link converter, I guess, and subsequent control backwards down to master link, which I don't understand why that dilapidated.
But
Hey, Stefan.
Evening, Stefan. But it, according to as recently the old core was sold, right? Like there was, well, I hesitate to call it a promise now, but essentially future proofing. So the ASE platform should be all right for a long ass time. I mean, weirdly, the moment is still somewhat supported, right?
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I really hate is that you just lose capability over time. So,
yeah, see, he just restarted the emerge pair, unplugged for 30 seconds, same issue, preset names are not there. I think it's the bug in the app. It's more or less, I would say, the same bug in the app where they marketed BeoLab 28 as a stereo pair, but you can always buy them as one. But when you buy them as one, you don't have that Biosonic feature.
Well, it is there now for balances.
It's always been there for balances, but it's not there for the
but the Omni mode wasn't.
28. No, I'm talking about the sound, like the speech, music, whatever.
Yeah. As soon as you stereo paired them for a lot of the Mozart speakers, the Beo-sound speakers, right, that was gone because it was just forward, left, and right, and then it was a basic EQ. But it seems now it's been put in fully. I mean, honestly, this is slightly why I avoid doing these Mozart stereo things that are marketed as stereo. Like, if anybody's out there looking at thinking like any Beo-sound that can stereo pair, right?
Yeah.
should I do that over BeoLabs? And the answer, from my perspective, is almost always rather not if you can. If you can.
Hell no for me, bro. Don't do it. If we can pull the cables, do it. Do it the way that people do it. Hold on a second. I'll mute my mic here.
So it's I don't know. It's just it works all right most of the time, but it never works when you want to show it off for some reason.
I know. Oh, I ran out of water.
I mean, there is some weird B&O curse, right? Like where your guests never understand why you spend so much on audio, and then you want to show it off for why you do it, and then it never works.
And it always does it. I don't know if they have like a proximity sensor of other people in the app that's scanning. Okay, we have to stop now. But yeah, I find it also funny that sometimes, people come over here and like some of the theater. In the beginnings, it was kind of, are we gonna turn on or not? But theater is now very solid. But yeah, the job I did on Saturday with the 28s, I did PL into each speaker and I linked them together. Even though they'll never be stereo paired because they're gonna go to the core. I want them hardwired from one to the other just for the sake of software updating, because then no matter what software the primary or whatever first one is, the switch will work, so it'll just push the data so I can see the other guy on a what's it called on the app. Yeah. But for me, like, what's nonsensical to me is, let's say you wall mount the 28s, that top part interface becomes more or less obsolete unless you put them down really low.
Yes.
Because you're gonna look at it like a little child and into the jar of cookies? Like, it's stupid.
The same issue with 90s, right? If they ever were to make a Mozart, or 50s.
Oh God, please no. Please don't do that. Hope they don't come up with the BeoLab 100s, which are just reworked 90s with the touchpad on the top.
I hope not. Matthijs asks, just out of curiosity, would it be possible to have two emergers as stereo pair? Yes, wall mount them vertically, if you want to. To me, they are as timeless as it gets within affordability range. Love to hear from. Yes, it's very possible, but because it's not how would you say, a native stereo speaker, it's an additional option. A BeoLab is designed as a pair, right? So that's where you get some of the quirks. So you can absolutely have edges. Sorry. Not emerges. You can, I think, pair edges.
You should be able to.
Though I'm not entirely sure if that
if you can't do it through the ASC, you're more or less for certain are able to do it through the Chromecast.
Yeah, so if you have an iPhone, it's kind of... I would say,
but then again, you're in the mercy of an update, right? Like, you're always in the mercy of an update. What if the Chromecast updates to the point where now whatever is inside the edges is no longer being supported?
Yeah.
Like, if I were to do a solid stereo with emerges or with the edges, I would more likely I would run an audio channel into each speaker. Hardwired.
Yeah, have a splitter to line in on both.
And then you have no issues whatsoever. But
Steve makes those cables.
Yeah. But I don't know. I have still to this day trust issues with the stereo pairing with the B&O True Image deal. I mean, not the True Image, the Mozart platform. And it's more, if they reverse the updating sequence, it would be much more reliable, in my opinion. Because once the first speaker updates, then customer has no idea what just happened and why it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And then you can't really stereo separate them once one of them is conked out. You just have to basically factory reset both of them, restart, delete them from your app, and reset up one. Don't power them both up at the same time, right? You got to hold your left ear while standing on the right foot. and it's a process that somebody that, you know, even though it's a little money, right, in B&O's terms, the clunkiness of the experience if something goes wrong is severe. And that's why I'm not a biggest proponent of the stereo pairing, and quite honestly the thought of let's say the BIOS Connect Core having the ability to add additional surround speakers, so to speak, from the, you know, like the
Mozart.
emerge level Mozart
Yeah.
platform, the small little guys, it's a little bit scary to me.
Yeah.
Because you're still going to face the same issues if one updates, the other one doesn't. And usually you're going to find that out on Friday night when you sit down with a glass of wine and your woman to watch a movie. And why the fuck are we not having a left channel?
Yeah. So Sandy just looked at the website. The Edge stereo pairing is through Chromecast. So if you have an iPhone and you want to do it more reliably, get an old core, a new core, either or really, and get a power link to left-right line-in cable from Steve, or have your dealer make one. That way you can do it. I would still say for that sort of money, steer away from it. You're better off having one or having two and just use them as multi-room speakers, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, David, the level is going to have the same issue. We had the same issue in the store. We had the same issue. I also suspect our subpar network in our shop, which I had been combating for since I started working there. And first of all, shout out, thanks for everybody that reached out and wanted to see the document. I replied to, I think, everybody. And yeah, finally somebody is taking the note as well in our shop, and we're redoing. We got the Ubiquity set up, so we're gonna redo it properly, and it's just gonna fucking work. Because the solution that we have right now, it works, but it only works for a small amount of network devices being connected. It's not a commercial solution, and we have a lot of shit in the store that is online. You know, there's no odds of people having let's say there is very, very few that have that many B&O products in their house at the same time.
Hello.
Well, but like, face it that way, man. We have a Harmony 83, Harmony 65, 3 theaters, 2 Horizons, 2 shapes.
Wait, you guys still have Horizon in the showroom?
Not Horizons. What the fuck? Contours. Sorry. 2 contours. 2 contours. Then there's a, you know, scattered of emerges, paired, solo, level, balances. There's, I think, 2 or 3. BioSound 2. Fudge. What else we got in there? Obviously, all the rest of the Savant shit and whatever I don't care for on the other side of the store. That's all on the same network. So we have about 67 devices that are pulling quite a bit of data, or have quite a bit of in between communication traffic. And what we have right now, the Eros, they just can't handle that. It's laughable.
You can probably fix that with one access point in the Ubiquity Dream Machine, or
that's
just
basically it.
The standard Ubiquity one.
We got the Dream Machine. Yeah, we got the Dream Machine, and we got a 24 port PO E-switch. We also now have another thing that just came out, which is the V count, which is the AI customer counter that we had to install in the ceiling, and, you know, like, that needs to be hardwired. So that's another thing that's on the network, right? And
is
then
that a mandate by B&O, or?
Yeah. They want to count the traffic in the store.
Oh. Okay.
I think it's more or less another cash grab, because it's like the other counting. They've had this forever and ever. Even the first B&O store, they had the store counter, but it was at the front door. So I'm like, well, how the fuck does that work? What if I go out to go get mail and come back to the shop, and then I go out for lunch, and then there's 2 people that came in that I never sold anything, but at the end of the day, it was me.
Yeah.
And then it kind of came offline. Like, it was all tangled up with the ROS system, and I don't know how it even reported. And then it worked for a week or 2, and then it just fucking conked out, and that was that. So
B&O software, man.
yeah, but that was 2003 3, 4, right before like we still had flap phones.
They basically were.
Uh,
When you did that
oh,
to them, like they go sort
oh
of flap.
man, that was nothing more satisfactory than smacking that thing closed after a shitty conversation with somebody. But now you just press end, like
I mean, if you did it often enough, you have the little outlines of the buttons in your screen.
yeah, I was one of those. I've had that. I actually slammed the phone once so hard on the IKEA table that it left the imprint in the laminate. I was mad, but yeah, that's that. So yeah, network is very important now. Quite honestly, in my opinion, network comes second to heat and hot water in the house, and sometimes even before that. Because some people, if they don't have network, they don't have their Wi-Fi phones or whatever. You can only call out of the cell phone, I guess. But yeah, network is a very, very, very important part of people's lives now, and nobody really realizes that. It's the same thing. Like, you don't really give a shit about how your heater works and what it does till it stops working. Oh, that has filters in it? Oh, yeah, it does.
Yeah, if Ubiquity scares you for whatever reason, get one of these standard Dream routers for like $200. Every so often they go on sale, so
well, it's not really if Ubiquity scares you, because it's still a Ubiquity product. I guess if the more integrated product scares you, then go with something like this.
Yeah,
would be a better way to say it. Yeah.
I mean, I bought my Dream machine on sale. Was it Black Friday or something last year? And it was like $280. It wasn't too bad.
Just to prove the concept of how good the Ubiquity is, this entire building is wired up with Ubiquity. I can't even imagine how many. There's got to be above 65 or 70 access point antennae in this apartment building, running off of a multitude of switches. Everything is on Ubiquity. I can remember one momentary downage of Wi-Fi in my apartment since I had moved here a year and a half, but it was due to the firmware update on the access point. I know because I looked at it and it's blinking a certain color, right? I know it's not fog. Waited 10 minutes, it came back on, no problem. But it's the same thing. I have not heard from anybody in my client list in Calgary that I had installed this product on that I ever had complaints. The only times that I had to go back is when they went from Shaw to TELUS and the fucking IP address changed. So I had to change the IP address on the backbone so it all works together, because most of the stuff wasn't static, because a lot of people had a Lutron and a BeoLink gateway at the time with them. So, and I run those on static IPs no matter what, because you put a dynamic in there and then you got to pipe in every power outage, whatever, and fix the or line up the addresses. Where in Montreal, that's not feasible to do, because even though they have so much hydro and they're boasting on the fact that, how much electricity we produce, in 25 years that I had lived in Canada, I had never seen so many power outages in my fucking life than moving to province of Quebec. Some people are out of power for 2 weeks, man. Wow. After a snowstorm. Yeah. Julianne was out of power for 2 weeks, man, living out of a fucking camping fridges. In a first world country, bro, like in Montreal, more or less.
Yeah, that's
bad. How is that even cool? Like, this happens in Calgary, man. The mayor would have been on the stakes with all the rest of them. Not a chance. Yeah. Not a chance. But that's just the infrastructure, right? And how much they care for it. Yes, I understand it's an old city. It's the same problem like New York. Oh, yeah, the sewage system, whatever. Speaking of insanity, Toronto is now charging rain tax.
Okay.
And that is based off of how large your footprint of the house is, hence the roof, because that's that much water that couldn't be absorbed by the ground. So that's what's going. They calculate the load of how much of that shit goes into the sewage system, and based off of your square footage of your roof, you pay rain tax in Toronto. I'm not even making this shit up.
Wait,
That's
so
how fun in Canada is.
that makes no sense at all. As in,
It
like,
does to the liftards.
yeah, but like, whenever it rains, does it just like sit on your roof and not go down? Like, where
I don't
does it
know.
go, right? Like, it doesn't just like stay in a tub on your roof.
No, but yeah, exactly. So it pours down into the sewage system, and they cannot. And their sewage system or drainage system is now starting to be overloaded. So they fixing the overloading of the sewage system by taxing your fucking roof and how much it rains on it.
Wait, so like Mark says, the gutters and downspouts take it to the sewer. That's
Exactly.
bizarre. Why would it? Why would it take it to the sewer? Why not just out in the yard?
No, in Calgary, well, here as well. I don't know if I didn't really investigate here, but there's brown water and then there's rainwater sewage systems. So we have two sewage systems. Like in Calgary, you have pipes that Duke travels through, and then you have pipes that the rainwater goes in from that goes straight into the river more or less, and the Dukes and piss goes into the treatment plant.
That is bizarre.
It's the same in Florida.
No, all my drains go just straight to the grass.
I guess. Well, wait till DeSantis leaves. Y'all's gonna pay some hurricane tax too, man. Shit.
Probably.
Like, yeah, it's insane. But yeah, we now have a rain tax. I could not even.
No,
Like,
all
that's
of
not
my
a joke.
downs, like there's one downspout that goes onto the driveway, right? Like where you park your car, and that technically goes to the road. But
Oh, Mark, if they put a rain tax in UK, that would be done. The country would be over with. So
I had thank you, David. Actually, I may get a rebate for having installed a new low water yield toilet thing.
mm,
Because that's the one nice thing, right? Like all these updates and stuff, you get rebates for it here.
but yeah, so that's what's happening. I think the tax is coming up as well, April 1st, because that's just
It's gonna
it's
be
a
a
good.
joke, right? April 1st.
Well, that's what everybody thought the carbon tax was, but no,
God.
the goon is serious as cancer. That's what's happening.
Well,
But
coming back to this Ubiquity machine, by the way,
yeah.
if you're afraid of the big bad one, right, like the big enormous machine, this little one has two PoE switches, and their doorbell camera is Wi-Fi. So if you just want a doorbell camera,
boom.
it works with this, and you get the whole ring thing on your phone, but it's yours. Like, it's not like Amazon servers are watching or the police is watching through your camera, because that's a thing nowadays.
Mm.
Because apparently, if there is like a man on the loose, the police just call the local Amazon rep and they just turn all the cameras on so the police can look through your doorbell camera to see where everybody is.
Is that right?
Yeah. They don't obviously advertise this, but it's kind of like, wait, seriously? But that's in the small print, right? You sign up for that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's probably like 16 phone screens worth of text down somewhere in a micro text that you'll never. Yeah, agree, accept all terms. Let's go. I want to see my Amazon packages being stolen.
I mean, here's the link for it. It is essentially a cheaper version of the big one, and it's much nicer looking. It's much less.
Well, it's meant to be on a table somewhere. It's not something that goes into the rack.
Yeah, it looks a bit like a giant apple pill.
Mm-hmm.
But it has two PoE switches, so you can have like you can branch out still with like switches, or just have, let's say, two hardwired cameras and a doorbell, because the doorbell's Wi-Fi.
Or you can just get a 8-port switch from Ubiquity if you need it, and the PoE from the Dream Machine will power it up.
You started to mumble like crazy. What?
That you can get a 8-port PoE switch from Ubiquity if you need to break out to more.
Yeah.
Or the PoE powered switch, and then the Dream Machine will power it up. I think you can do up to 8 ports with the PoE pass through on a last, from what I believe. But this is, it's been a good minute since I looked at it last, as far as the specs. Plus, they're coming up with so much more and more. Because back when I thought Ubiquity was super cool, they really only had switches and these crazy ass access points. But that's obviously changed now, and as market dictates, people want their cameras and so on and so forth. But yeah, it's the most solid product that you can go with, unless you want to pay double or triple almost for Pack Edge, which does the same, but like I said, for twice the money, if not more. That was one of the reasons why we opted in.
Did Willie just drop? Yeah. Sorry. That is loud. Oh. I think talking about internet stability, I don't think it's on my end. I haven't dropped any frames. Oh, there you are. I don't know. They hate you, apparently. Oh, and I have to unmute you because it was like boop, boop, obviously.
Oh. So, Sunday, what's up, brother? Oh, it's Sunday that screwed us up. You came in and took half my bandwidth.
Get the hell out of here.
Let me add you. Oh, you're enormous.
What is happening? What is happening? And I don't even have anything going on the computer other than this conversation, so I don't know what in the hell is going on. I'll shut down the Plex server too, I guess. Even though there's nothing in it.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
How have you been?
Oh.
I'm very average.
Very average.
Very average.
Very average. Nice.
Default mode, fairly grumpy.
That's what everybody is, more or less, especially in Canada.
Combination of a very gloomy and depressing weather here.
Oh,
so it's not the app anymore.
I mean, it's there's a list of things. We did not have it. We had a fairly mild winter, pretty grey and overcast, and then just when in March, when you expect it to brighten up a little bit and a bit of spring optimism, it was pretty wet and depressing. What do they call it? SAD, seasonal something, depression or whatever it is.
Oh yeah.
When it's constantly cloudy. So
in the last 2 weeks, I kind of didn't want to talk to you because I think we were at the same point of thinking, like, I'm going to sell all this shit because I'm so done with this. And I didn't want to reinforce my own feeling.
Why? What happened?
Well, the whole app thing, right? Where like, your power button is gone, all your source control is gone. And it's like, oh man.
Some of the stuff came back rather quickly.
In beta.
Fair enough.
Which doesn't bother me, because how different really is the beta from the non-beta? It's not wildly different, right? So if you want the stuff added, the added back stuff, the beta's all right.
But not everybody has beta software, right? And then the things kind of dilapidate themselves.
It is an interesting kind of social experiment or behavioral experiment on the community where expensive product, thousands of pounds over there, thousands of pounds over there, tens of thousands over there. And then the app, which costs nothing, can just cause people to have complete conniptions.
Well, if Trudeau made the app, it would have been $60 billion. Yeah, right.
Well, at least it'll match the price of your speakers then.
Fucking hell. Here's a very interesting finding that I had come across actually this week that I completely forgot to mention, but it's very, very important. anybody that has Apple TV software 17.4, which I think is the latest now, my question to you is, have you lost the CEC control over the Apple TV? This is
Yes,
a
I
known
think that's
problem now.
actually, I think that was on Discord. Several people said that. As
Yeah,
in, it
we've
was a
dropped a whole
known
bunch of
thing, and
clients.
there's nothing really you can do about it.
No, we've dropped a whole bunch of clients had that. They called in. I went to first one. I'm like, okay, well, and he has 2 Apple TVs. One never updated, so it was like on a 14 something software. I put it in to the stage. It works, no problem. Then he goes, okay, well, I'll download the Netflix. Oh, you need to be on a 17.1 or higher in order to be able to download the app. So once you update it, it's over. And I took the Apple TV out to the shop, checked it on our G2 panels or G3 panel. I plugged it into my G2 panel at home. Exact same issue. Picture, no control. Anybody that has
no control over the menu.
No navigation whatsoever within the Apple TV. So
I've just turned my theater on in the living room.
Yeah.
Switch to Apple TV.
Yeah.
Check the software.
Yeah.
17.4.
Yeah.
No puck connected.
And it works?
And it works. I'm navigating.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, but you need to understand the world we're in at the moment. Everyone has their unique problem. You cannot generalize support.
Yeah.
So I'm navigating around happily now. 17.4, updated on the 29th of March.
Maybe they.
Well, that was not the.
Hang on, software updated on. Oh no, last check. Yeah, 17.4. And it's got build number afterwards. Last check 29th. Yeah, yesterday. Yeah.
Are you sure you don't have a puck attached to it?
I'm looking at it.
Oh, you have the Apple TV on the table?
No, the cabinet's open.
Oh, that's bizarre. Because I know that nobody that has RTI controllers or the puck from the B&O product has that problem, because it's just IR still control. But anybody that has a stage or just let alone on its own Apple TV, it stopped working. That's interesting, Max. So he's got it working as well. But that's more or less the European side of things. Maybe y'all didn't get the same software across the pond that we did.
I do think they stagger the releases.
But I'm in Europe. I got 17.4.
Yeah, but maybe you got the European Union version.
All-inclusive version.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a build number. I don't know. They don't usually do different builds. It's usually 17.4 is 17.4 for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that software does not work here, or that CEC control is completely gone.
I wonder if it's an LG thing.
No, we tried it on a Samsung panel as well. Same result.
That's quite well, it's irritating. So I've got 2 pucks going into this theater. One for my set-top box, one for my Blu-ray. So there's definitely no puck connected to the Apple
So yeah,
TV.
that's exactly how we have most of our clients that have 3 sources, right? Put the Apple TV on the CEC, man. That's going to be rock solid no matter what. Because if they have a Samsung Blu-ray, it's not as fun to work with as, let's say, a LG Blu-ray, because LG Blu-ray does have native CEC support from the TV. But you're better off plugging the LG Blu-ray than into the TV. Now the installation also dictates, if you can't squeeze the cables through the hole to pull it to the television, then you have no choice but put it into the bloody theater, and then you have to do puck. But
sorry, just to be clear, on this Apple TV issue, have you tried connecting the Apple TV? So my Apple TV is connected to the theater, and it's fine. But is the Apple TV no puck, no CEC? Does it matter? What happens if you connect the Apple TV to the TV? Still,
regardless.
Right. Okay, you tried both.
I've tried both, and I've tried both here in my house, because I guess the beta now is the official software release for all the theaters, and none of our theaters, I make sure, are behind in software in our shop. And then I took it to the Samsung frame, an older, not older, but it's that TV's been there for a year now, hanging on the wall, right, just showing nonsense. I took the thing, the brain, HDMI arc, just for shits and giggles. Picture comes on, nothing, no control over HDMI 3 output on the Samsung. Plugged it to the HDMI 1 on the same box, no control from the Apple TV. Now, my suspicion is that they're trying to push that bullshit because their new remote control is way more capable than the older ones used to be, right? Where it allows you to control the TV now, volume and power and all the receivers, right? Like this thing can figure itself out through the CEC protocol. But now...
Talking about this?
No, yeah, but the one with the touch... Yeah, that's the new one, right? Yeah, so... but then it still doesn't explain why... When you plug it into the Samsung, right, and it goes identifying device and does its all, circling the drain nonsense, it comes back as an unknown device. It doesn't even come back as its Apple TV.
Didn't someone say? I noticed it on Discord, Mike? Didn't someone say that they looked on Apple forums or like non-BNO forums and other people are having this?
Yes.
Yeah. I've seen that as well.
Yeah,
I've
Sean
been
is
looking
in
around.
the UK and he just said it doesn't work for him either. It could very well be a series issue, right? Because there is a difference between the CG2s and 3s and potentially 4s.
What? The panel?
No, as in like just slightly how they handle protocols and things.
But what, G2 and G3 panels?
Yeah, there may be a difference between them, and that Apple updated something and it works fine with like G3s or something, but...
Doesn't work with the G3. We have G3s in the shop. I have G2 here. None of them work.
Oh, if it's not working with the Samsung, then it's a...
No, it's not even working with Samsung. Like you get picture, obviously, but you don't get the control CC, and it's an unknown device.
I'll keep an eye on the Apple stuff. Usually, if it's a general issue, Apple are relatively, unless they mean to do this, which I doubt it, they're usually quite quick to fix these things.
I like my tinfoil hat. I'm a conspiracy theorist that it's on purpose. The bastards are trying to push and take over.
Or push us all back to IR.
That's it. That's the fight. I had somewhere read, I don't know if it's true or not, but there's supposed to be a future plan for IR control on the BeoCore 1 or BeoConnect Core. I don't know where I saw that. Maybe I was dreaming, but it'd be cool.
You were dreaming. You were probably hoping, like, please have IR back.
Might have been one of my dream installations I was doing where the app worked and everything was great.
That's because you fall asleep with a puck cable under your pillow.
That's right. I got 2 remotes on one side each, so yeah, I have full control over my life.
So talking of selling everything, I'm shopping around for interior designers to do some stuff here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
This is what I do when I get bored. And there's a local one. They do really high-end stuff, right? And he came around and him and his wife had a look, and they were like, I was thinking about rearranging stuff. He goes and he pointed at the 50s. He goes, and those speakers, are you wedded to those? Do those need to stay?
Okay, next, interior designer.
Yeah, I didn't really hesitate. Although I've got an issue with them at the moment. I've had an issue with them for the last few months.
What happened?
You know, mine are PowerLink connected to the theatre.
Yeah. And
they've got their RCA input in from my LIN.
Yeah.
And I woke up one morning and the lenses on the 50s were up.
Mm-hmm.
Although nothing was playing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my LIN, the theatre was off, standby. My LIN was in standby. It is a very long story that might rival the ticking 50s of episode 1.
Mm.
And I won't bore you with it, but we don't know what's going on.
It's a Russian cyber attack, bro.
What's added a complication is that my dealer, who I was always really very friendly with,
Was
well, the guy who effectively ran the store, he wasn't the owner, but he ran it. He left in the middle of last year, leaving behind, and he was really fucking capable, right? And just sensible and capable, right? And he's left, so I'm left now, not super well supported. So it's been a bit of a, even though I'm in London where I should be well supported, right? My local store is like struggling a little bit. Bless them.
It's hard
You
to
go
find
to the
good people,
B&O
man.
owned store. Surely they'll have the best service for you.
Well, I've started, yeah. So it's really weird. It's really weird. So it's back and forth with B&O. The store are doing all the back and forth. They're like, oh, it's maybe a grounding issue. Try various things, right? And it's not a grounding issue. I've tried their I tried plugging my laptop RCA into the 50s, right? They said try a battery operated device, not into the and the
Earth
lens,
ground.
yeah, and the lenses still go up, still stay up. So what's weird is like I'm watching. It's on at the moment. TV's on, the theatre's on. If I turn it off, so the theatre's in the 50s are in wide. So I can turn it off when I go to bed, and my streamer's off, right? Rather than just go off, they just go straight into narrow mode, which is what I've got set up for my RCA preset, and it just sits there. They will not go to sleep.
Did you look at the line sensitivity under the configuration menu in the 50s? Obviously, you did.
Done all of that. Done all of that. It's really weird. I strongly suspect it's the theatre.
What do you mean? That keeps the power link on?
I don't. I say sorry. I'll scratch that. I don't know. We don't know what it is. So
if you let's say you suspect the theater, I just don't see the logic in suspecting it, because if the theater turns off, it shuts the 5-volt power link input or power link voltage. So therefore, the speakers are in standby mode. But for some reason, the auto sensing in the 50s goes to. It's either something's making a noise, not necessarily in the cables. It could now be on the board, on the input board of the 50s, and they automatically switch to the noise because it's okay. Fuck, there's something happening on an RCA, so I'm going to go to that.
They put new boards in.
Oh, you already been down that road too.
Oh yeah.
Call this. Okay.
I now have an insight. There's various bits of boards.
Yes.
There's connection panel bit. There's another bit, and then there's the
light
main,
status, and yes.
And then there's the main brain. All three were changed.
Okay.
So we're in a puzzling situation now where if I disconnect the power link and only leave the RCA into the 50s, so set the 50s up as WISER, then everything behaves perfectly. Everything goes to sleep, wakes up, goes to sleep, wakes up. Right?
That makes no fucking sense.
If I connect the power link and then disconnect the RCA,
behavior's normal.
Behavior's normal. I did say, I told you we're in weird territory.
I'm going to have a beer for that.
You're causing me headaches.
Fuck.
It's a head scratcher.
I took my last Advil yesterday, Tabarnak.
Head scratcher. Mr. Lupus over on Discord said his dealer in Germany had a similar problem. Can't remember whether it was the 50s or the theatre that resolved it.
I currently have RCA connected to the 50s, and it's fine. So
as does Mr. Lupus.
Yeah. So I don't understand this issue. So if you only have RCA and it just shuts off and it's fine, right?
if you have RCA for my audio source and Weiser for the 50s, everything goes up and down the waves up as you'd expect.
Have you tried? Fucking, I'm gonna sound like a B&O support now. Have you tried factory resetting the theater?
Yeah. Yep.
Have you tried factory resetting the 50s?
That was done when the installer engineer came and changed the boards.
Yeah, they had to check the software and everything else. So they was set up from scratch again because you've changed the main board, so all the shit's gone with it.
Yeah, I had to recalibrate the. I had to recalibrate the 50s with the. It's quite interesting. I said I need the adapt. They've lost they broke their one mic, original mic, right? it broke because I said I'll calibrate and just give me the new. It goes broken. I said, well, just give me the adapter thing for the theatre mic.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, no, I'll have to give you a whole new theatre mic with the adapter. I said, why? What's wrong with just the adapter? He said, the adapter with the early theatre mics into the 50s doesn't work. They've been told to use new current theatre mics with that adapter and 50s. Whether they
say what?
I don't know. Have they really?
So they changed the microphones inside then, or what changed? Something must have changed.
That's what they're only passing on what they were told. So
we can speculate.
Go and pick up he gave me a new theatre mic with the adapter, and I had to add new calibrations for the 50s. I wouldn't be reticent about doing it. It sounds fine.
Yeah, but something must have changed. Maybe the impedance that runs on, like it detected different. That just makes no sense.
It didn't make sense to me. I'm just telling you for nerdism reasons.
God, aren't I glad I have one of those original mics?
So do I. Yeah, and we have one in the shop. I make sure that, I'll bubble wrap the tip of it. Just so we can keep it for a long time. Because, I didn't know that. That would have been also a bummer if we ordered the goofy adapter and, the microphone that I would have taken out of the store would have been the one from the first theater, right? Because that's the demo.
Which is what I have. I've got original.
Yeah, and it wouldn't work. So even my microphone wouldn't work because I bought my theater in December, like a month after or 2 months after it came out.
Yeah, similar. So anyway, just something to have a look on your database of literature and see if there's anything about
interesting.
That. So we need to get to the bottom of this 50s issue, but a bit weird, a little bit weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is. I also think that B&O should have done for the theater. They should have had 3 puck controllers, and I think it would have been cheaper to just make a triple puck and have different pin out than they currently have. Because you can't, those pins are staggered in a way that I don't think, from what I remember, I think you could add another pair for the IR flasher. I think that would have.
That's what my old contact, my old dealer who's gone, who knows his stuff, when the theatre came out and he looked at it, he said, yeah, it's only got 2. Because they can amend it, like they can change it.
Yeah.
It's a software thing inside the theatre, but also just make a.
Yeah, put plus and minus on that rail for a puck controller, and that's it on the pin out of the socket. I think they should consider that because, in my opinion, why would you abandon the entire library of peripheral unit controllers that you've created over the decades that your TVs have been around for a whole bunch of quirky whatever devices to try to trust the CEC?
Did you mute yourself?
The gods have muted him.
I have a voice call from somebody fucking around on WhatsApp. I think it's one of my tenants. Anyways.
Well, I guess their reasoning is that most people just use internal apps for most things now.
Yeah.
Which I get, but it also for a simple thing, adding a bit more puck capability would also keep a reasonable number of his existing customers quite happy, I think.
I am really quite happy that I switched to the Fire Stick, the latest one. Because, I mean, yes, it's Amazon, and yes, it's like that you have the standard ads you don't have with like an Apple TV and stuff, right? But that it goes full hog on your local server and it does all the true HD pass through and that sort of thing. It is really rather nice, and the image quality is really sharp. It's like Disney Plus on the Fire Stick is better than Disney Plus on the internal app of an LG.
And the Fire Stick, the UI, I don't think it's not horrible.
No, but there's no getting around the initial ads, right? Like this is now on Amazon Prime, which we have, so it's not super annoying. If you don't have Amazon Prime, then I understand why you would maybe go for an Apple TV. But it is really nice when you get the full fat True HD pass through from your local server.
Yeah,
like
and those Fire Stick, they're half the price or less than half the price, aren't they?
Yeah, and it's as far as I can tell, the only device that will pass through literally any standard, from HDR10 to Atmos, full fat, True HD, all the streaming varieties. It for some reason on this fairly cheap device they paid every license.
Yeah,
which is kind of odd, but it's nice. I mean, I guess only DTS, what is it, MA or something? Like it does all of that. I just wish the theater did, but
yeah, it's the DTS. The theater not doing DTSX is, I mean, it's really a disc thing, right?
yes,
it's a disc thing
because nothing streams in it.
Nothing streams in it. So, I mean, I don't have any DTSX discs. I've got DTS other MA and DTS all that other stuff discs, and I play them. I get my player to kind of turn them into PCM.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world.
Same with the Fire Stick, will pass it through and then it decides to make it PCM, which is like, it's okay, but like when you went kind of nutty like I did, it would have been nice to get all the channels, right? Like properly.
No, I'm with you.
Because there is a sort of, it lacks a bit of dynamics when it gets converted to PCM. It's, I mean, I tested with like the True HD and or True HD converted to PCM, and like the bass is a bit more pronounced, and it's there's more dynamics in especially 50s.
Yeah,
I mean, PCM is not bad in any way. It's like B&O is really good at doing it. It's just when you can A/B test, it's noticeable.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
I mean, it's a similar thing where I mean, the amount of people that still swear by like the best Panasonic OLED or Sony over LG, and it's sort of like
Pioneer Elite.
Well, when you don't A/B test at home, like when do you stop caring?
I agree. On one of the UK AV websites, that today they put up their initial reviews of the G4s or the 4 series. G series in different sizes. And these guys, they're professional calibrators as well. And they said the G4 out of the box was so close to perfectly calibrated, which maybe hasn't quite been the case in recent years, but it shows you these things get how these incremental improvements. And they showed the graph. It's so close to perfectly calibrated. And that's the LG. That's one of the areas 5 years ago or so they would have lacked, right?
Yeah.
And they just got a lot better at this stuff.
Well, so they started caring because people started bitching too much.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
I think what's nonsensical is why is the Sony picture better using LG panels than the LG themselves, right?
Because it's not LG it's LG
Processing.
Electronics that no, LG has two companies. The company
Oh,
that makes the panels is not the same that sells the TVs.
oh,
so there's LG Display,
Yeah.
which make
and then there's
and
LG.
LG Electronics. So
Oh, okay.
Sony buy the panels off LG Display. So your question, why have they traditionally looked better? Sony are just fucking good at upscaling, right? They're really, really good at it because of all their studio prowess, right? They've got all that knowledge. But even there, Mike, I mean, as you were, I used to make the point years ago that, I wouldn't want an LG, but actually LG, even there on the upscaling and the image processing, have really closed the gap on Sony from what all the reviews generally say.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So particularly like I 3 or 4 years ago, I walked into like a store and they was just showing broadcast TV. So the news HD, but not HDR, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so like base level broadcast stuff. And the Sony, you could tell the Sony was just much better at upscaling crappy content.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't think, it doesn't seem like that's the case anymore. I think LG's closed the gap on even there, right?
But on what panels? Excuse me, G3s or G4s?
Well, I think it's been year by year, it's got better, right?
Mm-hmm.
Year by year, it's got better. So I think that these G4s have got like the Alpha A11 type processor, which does all the AI kind of upscaling. So I think, as the processing has got better in these TVs, particularly the G series, I'm not sure. I think the Cs have a similar. I think the B series don't. The B series have been slightly relegated, but the Cs and Gs, I think, have the same AI engine in. So, yeah.
Yeah, the difference between the C and the G is the design of the outer shell, and that the G has MLA now, the multi-lens array.
Yeah, so hang on a second. I'll be back.
And effectively, what that also, I think also the G has slightly better cooling with that aluminium plate in the back, so you can run your OLED pixels harder, meaning more brightness. But like,
how bright do you need that?
Yeah, I already think the C is really kind of bright. Clarity wise, there is no like picture sharpness, right? Like if you're in a dim room, there is picture wise, I don't think any difference between a C and a G other than when it needs to get super bright in a very specific spot.
Yeah.
But you need, what is it, a minimum of the Alpha 9 processor to work with the B&O app and theater and or stage.
Oh, is that right?
If you wanted to integrate it. Yeah, that's why the B series doesn't work, because I think that's the Alpha 7 processor.
Right, okay.
I think that's a slightly arbitrary thing, because I don't see why the B panel just doesn't work, but with anything B&O, because it works over CEC, right? Like, BeoTalk is just fine. You just, for some reason, can't install the app.
Oh, I thought
which is also weird if you think about it. That if you put the, I think we have a C2 or C3 panel on the Harmony 83. And when you install the Harmony or the LG app on the Harmony TV, you get the menu and everything else. Would not that be possible to do through the theater as well then? Or is it just because one is ASC and the other one is the Mozart platform?
Yeah. I think that's pretty much it. Ed asks, are there any advantages or disadvantages using a BSN theater with an LG TV versus a Sony? Does the LG TV need to be bought from B&O store, or can you buy directly from LG? The integration, the B&O remote, is what you get if you want to with an LG TV connected to it. It becomes a whole TV instead of like a panel and a sound bar, effectively.
It's a quite a bit of an open question though, because first question I would have is, how are you putting it up? Are you putting it up just on the wall and theater underneath it? or you're gonna do an integrated setup where you put the floor stand or a wall bracket on it. That limits you in size choice. If you want to go 77 on a floor stand, then obviously you need a VESA mount for it, and the back covers, which those cost peanuts. But you know, there's a big difference in how much are you spending on it. If you're gonna go with the full integrated setup or anything really, I would just buy the panel from the dealer. If you can get a better deal somewhere else, good. But at the end of the day, if something goes wrong, it's easier to have one bill of sale with everything on it, and then have that business deal with your problem, than you are gonna get a 1-800 number to sort it yourself. So
Yes.
that's the question that you need to ask yourself. Is that fucking $100 saving worth the headache down the line?
Almost certainly not.
Also,
So-
B&O HQ said that dealers should follow recommended retail prices from LG.
That's it.
And
But
it
I'm just
might-
saying, like, if you get a blowout in a Costco, right? Like, we can't compete with that as a store
Yeah.
sometimes, right? But you know, but yeah, that's it. Like, if you want to deal with it on your own, you're more than welcome to. But you know, if I were to buy, if you're already investing that much money into something, then what's the difference? You know?
Yeah, $300 on what, 15 grand?
Yeah, I'm sure you can negotiate with your dealer to get you a price. You know, either a better price or you know, depends on what relationship you have with the dealer.
Yeah.
I don't know that. But I wouldn't fuck around. I would just get it all. Like, you know, we've had maybe 2 instances where people bought their LG screens. Actually, the guy that we went to in Quebec City on Friday or Thursday, he bought initially he bought himself a Sony TV, 65-inch. And then they came in because he was an old BeoSystem 3, blah, blah, blah. So then Kareem, you know, converted him to the theater. So we yanked out the BeoSystem 3, blah, blah, blah. And he did listen, and he went and returned the Sony TV and got himself an LG panel because the picture quality is marginal, if any different, really. If you got my eyesight, it's cool anyways. And
If you wear glasses,
the
it
interface,
doesn't
yeah.
matter anymore.
An interface is much smoother and much more fluid than with what I would call third-party panels, because the LG is the only one that has the, you know, the app for that and the whole interface. It just works, man. It just works. And if you're in the territory of, you know, trying to save the money, then just go with the stage and put whatever panel you want on it, and just live with the fact that you can't have surround. But if you're gonna go, or if you're coming from a place where you already bought 4000s or BeoLab 3s or Lab 12s or something previous, you know, 10, 15, 20 years ago, doesn't matter, and you still have those speakers and you want to attach them to the newer system, I would go with the theater and just get the dealer to set it all up properly. That's my advice. And then if you have a headache, like I said, you don't have a 1-800 number to call. It's just your dealers, and that's it.
I mean,
So hopefully that answers the question.
yeah, the whole, I think I speak for all three of us, the whole integration with LG generally just works better.
It does, indeed.
And you're not stuck with a plastic remote.
The review I saw today on that UK AV site, they just, well, obviously they were raving about the G4. They go, yeah, it's, you know, it's really, really very, very good. But they had a withering paragraph about the plastic remote, because they were doing all G series. The Gs are different sizes, and they were like, what the fuck? This is 2024 a high end panel. What are you
And you
doing?
get the toy remote with it.
And they're normally quite reserved because they've got relationships with these guys. They were like withering. They're like, this is the remote of a $400 Costco TV.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, using this is still amazingly, this is still very ecosystem tie-in, right? Just this thing.
Yeah, but you have all your sources in one remote, and you can go to any other device in the house essentially in one way or another.
$450 and no backlight. Yeah, it's still there. The request for change has been submitted for that. Oh my god, I think it was one of the first requests for change since the that program has been started with B&O, and it's still in the research and development. So I don't understand that. What blows my mind to this day, you buy a freaking basic cable box and the remote is backlit, Bluetooth and whatever Wi-Fi connected, you can talk to it. It runs on 2 AA's. Maybe that's the difference, that the AA's last longer than the AAA's. Therefore, we just abandoned the fact of backlighting. But I think that B&O could stuff in an ambient light sensor somewhere in front so it can measure how much light there is in the room and only turn on when it's dark, and therefore save it.
I think your battery point is probably quite relevant, but I think as we all discuss, I mean, if this got 15% bigger, I wouldn't care.
Same.
No, not at all.
BeoFour was bigger, and nobody cared when that was the thing.
Well, because the buttons were spaced out more sensically too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the only gripe that I have with this remote, is that the backlighting is it's so necessary. I do not understand the decision for abandonment of that in the design process, because I'm certain that it had to had to have come up in the boardroom.
How much is so one of these in the UK new is about £450, I think, something like that.
It should be like £350.
I think it's a tiny bit more.
Well, it's $450.
So let's call it £400. If they made a backlit, slightly bigger one of these, right? But effectively in the same territory as this, but the metal, the weight, the sleek. How many would they sell?
I'd buy 2.
50. I mean, globally, they'd sell
hundreds, thousands.
They'll sell 10,000. They'll sell 20,000 in the first year.
Well, I think the answer would be right away, because if you presented a remote and the backlit remote to a client, like, would you like this one or this one, let's say for $650 versus $450? Fuck the $650. I want to see in the dark.
Correct. I'd replace, even at $650,
I would replace all of them.
If they're 1,000, I'd think differently. But if they were like $650 rather than $450, I'd replace every one I've got. That was my point. If they keep it in roughly the same ballpark, a bit more, they'd sell 5,000 to 10,000 straight away.
Or just create a new chassis that is backlit, and you can just slip and slide. Even if they charged you $100 premium for the backlit keypad replacement, I would take it still. Because the backlighting is still more than not having it and trying to go off the tactile groove on the list 0 and guideline, right? The buttons, which I honestly think that should have been on the back button, but it is what it is. Like, I understand the navigation or tactile navigation of it, but it's irritating still. And I've had this remote for now 13 years, for God's sakes, and I still fuck up the commands every now and then. I press back instead of a list so many times. And, because all you want to do is just change a speaker preset or whatever, and instead you back out of whatever you're watching. So that's it. I understand it's a first world problem, but call this. It should not be happening.
First world prices.
But I'm paying first world prices for it.
Well, it gets even worse when you have like big mids, right? Like the BR1 is kind of tiny for my hands.
It's not the biggest or not the smallest remote for me or biggest remote for me, yes, but I still button mash it every now and then, bro. I can relate to you because, like, I wear gloves everywhere I work with B&O. So working with this remote with gloves, it's fucked up. Even though I have like high tactile, whatever, No, it's a disaster. No, I don't wear the rubber mitts like a weirdo. I'm not a freaking, but I have like these Milwaukee,
Come into the
gloves.
house like you're Dexter. Like, who are we gonna murder?
Like full white coat. But yeah.
You're saying Willie's got a bit of Dexter in him?
That's it.
When he gets
angry.
Know what?
I wouldn't even be opposed to an idea of revisiting, like Ed says, the Beo Remote 7000. If they did something like that in a way that, yes, you sit it down on the table and the thing comes up, but it's the full app interface.
Yes.
But that's what I thought. I don't know what the 7000 looks like, but that was slightly my quibble with the Halo. Which is, if you're going to do the screeny type thing, don't give me just this. Give me something where you could put
tangible,
a bit more right?
information on it. Yeah, I understand and I agree completely. But yeah, that remote more or less almost bankrupted P&O back in the 90s, but because they let engineers be the drivers of the business. Like, yeah, let's make a remote that is almost as much as the entire system. But yeah, that something in those lines, obviously modernized, would be awesome. And have that entire thing as a screen. Obviously, you don't need these goofy ass buttons anymore, but have everything. Maybe have a couple hard buttons on the bottom, like the My buttons, the row that is on the Halo, Link, My buttons, and a standby. I think that would make the most sense. And then have the display strictly for app interface, show the album art, show the bloody playlist you can browse through on the Deezer, be able to search for radio stations and save them, just like the whole app interface. Like, that wouldn't take much.
I agree. That's when I first looked at the Halo. I mean, lovely though the wheel is. My first thought was the screen is big. Fill the whole thing with screen, and bring a lot of the app to the screen. But anyway,
it's more of a house remote than anything.
The
else.
Halo?
Yeah.
The Halo for me is a metadata information provider, so I don't have to go to my phone and see what's playing. If I like the song, I just walk up to it and look at it.
Yeah, that's kind of how I use.
But if you got home automation, the guys who've got home automation really love it, and I get that, right?
Yes, in home automation scenario, that remote, I think that's what that remote was really built for, to be honest with you. Because through the BeoLiving Intelligence, you can actually have a clock showing on it, so it gives you the time. You can control the lights. You can change the order of how the screen appears, what is taken priority over something that is nonsensical for me as buttons. So it's a great remote, but it's also not the best when it comes to just pure B&O interface control.
What?
I think they should come with something like the 7000, whatever they would call it now.
So the majority is more or less on board, get a backlit remote. I'm just wondering, I'll pull this next, where do you think sort of the cutoff is? Because what I remember from back in the day, the Beo 5 and 6 still sold quite decently, even though they were like triple the price of a Beo 4. Yeah,
but you know what though? What B&O had, I guess, soiled the bed on was the programming software for that remote was an absolute and utter disaster. I know how much people had hated it, and I've convinced myself that I'm going to make it mine. And at the time when I was living at my mom's place, I had a BeoSound 9000 with a BeoVision 465 in my bedroom, full surround. And then I had a whole bunch of different rooms, BeoVision 9 with the full surround downstairs in the main room. Kitchen was 35. It was all Masterlink. And I had the BeoSound 5 with it as well. It took me 363 reiterations of the program in order to make it right. That's weeks of just fucking around, okay? That's not, but then again, I became so proficient at it that when I was doing these large installations and setups, I knew exactly what to do and how to do it and what order it had to be done in order for you not to screw up the whole program. Because you do something wrong, or let's say you've forgotten to add the product in the beginning of the setup and you go back and you add the product, then it just tosses all of your buttons around randomly and it's another 2 hours of fix and shit. So you had to have been exactly certain of what is going on in what room and how and what's connected to it.
Yeah, but I mean more in price, right? Like,
yeah, well, that was a huge difference in price. It was $1,000 versus a $350.
Yeah, but let's say they do that again. Let's say the new backlit remote is not that much more fancy, but is $1,000 to $1,200.
Mikey, if they can sell a green-ass BeoSound 2 for double the price of the regular one, they sure as shit will be able to sell those remotes.
I'm not sure.
People will buy them.
I'd have a cut-off. If this is £400, I'd pay 600, 650 for backlit ones, but I wouldn't pay 900 or 1,000.
But if it came like a Beo Remote 7000 with a full app interface on it, something that is not really more or less a remote, I'm saying like it's a living room centerpiece, right?
Oh, that's a different thing, right? Yeah.
But yeah, if this, you know, just came in there with like the if a Ubiquity can put a freaking mini touch display on their little switches and stuff, like I don't understand. I'm not asking for the touchscreen, by the way. Just let's move to the fucking 21st century and I'm in backlight the bloody thing already.
So I every night when I'm in the bedroom where the lights are dimly lit, at some point in the evening or various points in the evening, because I'll spend a few hours in there, I basically will sit there kind of going, where is it? Where is it? Where's the fucking remote?
Or you lean into the moonlight so you see what's the list button again.
And you lift up the dog and go, are you sitting on it? Where is it?
Are you chewing on it again?
Oh, no.
He did for the first time walk over it in the middle of the night and turn on the radio. That was no fun.
Oh, sick. That's funny.
I've got to say, I spend quite a lot of time in the bedroom, being the lazy bastard that I am. Just having the standalone theatre in the bedroom. I mean, very occasionally when I'm super bored, I'm like, shall I get some additional speakers? But having a theatre alone in the bedroom, so the bedroom is 4.5 meters by 4-ish meters, decent size, but not huge. I mean, even the theatre on its own is overkill in the bedroom.
No, I would agree. But I also disagree because it's being up. You know what I'm saying?
I was just playing a TV show from Disney Plus, not a new one. It finished a few years ago. Not an action thing, and just some of the music soundtrack kicked in, right? And I had the volume at like 48, 49.
Yeah, it's decent.
Not much. And then some things were rattling around.
Have you tried hot glue?
No. I mean, it wasn't problematic, but it was like
It's got some balls. The theater definitely has a serious horsepower when it comes to it.
And particularly, I mean, it's very different in the bedroom as it is in here, which is bigger. But when you put that unit on its own in a 4 meter by 4 meter room, you're in nothing else needed. Probably the most sensible move is to downgrade to a stage rather than have the theatre in the bedroom. It's just so unnecessary. But great.
It's great. But it's great. Exactly. No, I am. I love this thing. I wish they came up with a little better remote control that is backlit. Maybe a bigger screen on it, obviously.
I mean, the BR1 isn't bad. It's just
it's missing the most essential part, which is the backlighting, because they've opted out from tactile feel navigation to more or less, you know, you're supposed to be looking at the remote while you're doing things, right? Hence the display is dynamic and it changes list and whatever, and you browse the list. And it's not like the old BO4 where you can go basic functions like, you know, you move your list. If you're in a link room, you can just press list and it's already says link command, so you can go radio and it turns on the radio in that room or whatever. I understand that the interface got a little more not convoluted, but more complicated with how many products you have ability to control now versus what the Masterlink used to be with the IR limitations. But it also is cumbersome in a way that you can't really see the buttons.
I think it's a lot more the button spacing than anything else, because it becomes muscle memory, right? Because you could feel the ridges.
That's right. And you know what? In the times of BO4, I haven't had anybody wishing for a backlit remote, even though they came out with the Cinema Edition that ate batteries like just unbelievably. I think the batteries last in that remote like 2 weeks if you have it somewhere on the wall bracket. Jen has one, and just every time you pass by it, it senses, so it backlights, right? Like it's not a need for that, but it was nice to have, you know, it was a premium version of the remote control. They could do that with the BO4. I think they should be able to do that with the Beo Remote 1. Simple as that. If not, design a different remote that has button spacing, just like the BO4 had, and I think we'd be fine.
And preferably no. Would you take a backlight if it means they build voice into the remote? I'd have to think twice about that.
I don't
God,
think they
no.
would be that crazy that they would do the voice, because they're already concerned about the battery consumption and the voice control. That means that it would have to be either sitting on a Wi-Fi or Bluetooth network more, right, to communicate back and forth. But no, I no, stay away from the voice commanding. Fuck off. There's absolutely no need for that.
Yeah, in fact, actually thinking about it, they won't do it. They won't even go there.
They wouldn't do it.
No.
Because that remote would have to listen all the time. Hence, the battery consumption would be unfeasible.
It's wild how the battery on this now compared to like a year ago.
How much it lasts?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's awesome. We've changed the battery on the podcast in my remote quite some time ago now. I think it was at least 5 podcasts ago.
Something like that.
And I was on 57% an hour ago, and I checked. Now I'm at 59.
So when did
you recharged it?
I don't know. I just hold it, and it is better now. So
it was the recent updates where you could see on the system info, right?
That's right.
And I checked like when that updated a month or so ago. I checked, and this was on 19%, like 3 weeks. It's on 18% 3 weeks later.
Yeah, that's fine.
So see, they can things are fixable.
Yes.
I think it was just doing constant back and forth checking initially.
Yeah, but it was doing very poor job at it, Mikey, because even when you picked up the remote and then you press TV and all of a sudden you don't have anything on the list, well, what the hell are you talking to it for then?
Yeah.
That all seems quite a lot better now.
It is. And now with the new software, if it is disconnected from the product, it will tell you updating instead of just like sitting there with a TV only.
I saw that the other day. I had that. I had to wait like 30 seconds. And okay.
Yeah, it reestablishes communication much more faster now. For some reason, the anthracite remote that I have by the door is absolutely like lightning fast. But the weirdest quirk is if I come home and I press the my button to turn on the YouTube, it's always that remote presses 2 buttons on it. It's the my button 2 and standby when I'm leaving. And when I get to the kitchen and I pick up this remote, because I'm living in a studio and it's a far walk. This takes about 10 seconds to wake up, to reestablish comms. But I'm saying, I'm not complaining about it. I'm just suspecting, because this remote, I don't remember, because I've changed a whole bunch of chassis for testing and stuff. This is my tester remote. And it came from a client that she had disconnection problems all the time. I've never had an experience that. It just takes a little bit longer for it to reinitialize if it's sitting for a day of.
It's that chassis, because one of my chassis is an older one, which was both IR and Bluetooth. And
they're all IR and Bluetooth.
Are they?
Yes.
Yeah, they're always are IR.
The very old ones are only IR.
Yes, with 3 my buttons instead of 4. Because the list was at the top left corner, which was completely nonsensical.
Oh right, yeah, okay, yeah, I've ditched that. Yeah, I've got a newer chassis. Sorry.
So yeah, that's the only difference.
I mean, the only way in the dark I can tell which remote I'm holding is literally the squishiness of the buttons. Because my new anthracite one is so taut, it's like, ooh, this feels fresh.
Yeah, the other one gets a little more squished up.
So I bought for my bedroom, I changed the chassis to, this is the silk one in the living room. I changed to the anthracite one for the bedroom. And I had one of those evenings that were like, where the fuck is the remote?
It's black.
Move the dog, couldn't find it. It's not under the pillows. And I stupidly got the duvet, and it's got a fur blanket.
Oh, no.
And went like this and flicked it.
Gave it a good old Henrik flick, remember? He did that shit too.
Guess who's got a dinged remote?
Oh, yeah. That sucks.
It landed on the floor.
Fuck. Yeah, I avoid doing that. That's why I only use one for that. Like, that's my beater, because I already have a few dents, and it's like having a rock chip in the windshield. Only the first one hurts the most, right?
You've got a silk one, right?
I have a silk one. I have anthracite and silver.
The silk one is just...
It is the most pleasurable one to hold.
it's mind-bogglingly better than the rest. I don't know why. Well, we can know.
I think it's the finish, right? It's
the
definitely
shop cleaning on it.
It doesn't get all like sweaty and greasy or slick or whatever. It's just I like the silk remote. I think they should do anthracite silk as well. Should do a matte silk remote as well.
I agree. It's great.
And yeah, backlight it.
Yeah, I still enjoy my silk one the most, although the new anthracite one is kind of nice.
Yeah,
or you know what? If you don't want to backlight it, make like a little USB dongle with a light that comes with the remote control, so you can just like, where am I doing? Damn it!
So my the remote that comes with my set-top box has got a if you can't find it, which is often my problem, you can ping it and it'll beep, which is quite useful.
That's cool.
I quite like that. I quite like that function.
Yeah,
maybe you should get one of these STB brackets from the wall for your remote, so you can always find it.
I will do that when when stuff gets redone here at some point.
Also get one for your bedroom, because at least you don't have to clean your duvet and stuff.
Oh yeah, no, I can. You're talking about the wall, the bracket thing.
Yeah, the little magnet wall.
Yeah, it's quite nice. I will. Yeah.
The only thing that I have an issue with that wall bracket is that it's so close. Like, I understand the sleekness of the profile, but do you have one, Mikey, in your collection yet, or no?
Not from STB, from Prestige still.
Okay, so if you get the one from the STB and you put it on the wall and you start parking your silver remote on it, notice how many lines and like little pencil lines are going to be at the top where the remote always hits the drywall.
Yeah,
it's too close. It's too close. No matter, and I'm pretty careful with it, or I was mindful of it, but it's unavoidable. It's unavoidable. It's too close, so you will dent up the wall a little bit. And if you have solid walls like in space, it's few mils apart, so yeah, no matter how much you put it in there, if picking it up, it always touches the wall. So that's my only gripe with it, but I really like that remote wall bracket because it just works. It works magic, and it doesn't look that obtrusive when it's empty.
It's quite interesting looking at I was talking to all these interior designers, these higher end interior designers. You look at their portfolio of work they've done, and they're generally very, very, very nice, right? And you do see the odd bit of B&O here and there, not much, but odd. But it's quite a challenge. They come around, you're basically saying, do whatever you want. These are roughly what I want. I'm giving you sort of in this direction, this style, blah, blah, blah. That's all. They're all happy. And then when I interject and go, but you need to consider my AV-ness. Right, quite a thing for them because they're not used to any AV considerations. Even for these high-end guys, are generally very fifth order consideration, right?
Yeah, they don't think about that.
So that's a bit of a challenge, actually. Some sort of me intervening and kind of going, yeah, you do this, you do whatever you want, blah blah blah. But stop. You need to think about my all my AV requirements. It's quite interesting that it's a first-hand experience of like why you see these like really expensive places with hundreds of thousands of dollars spent on materials and marbles and woods, but just nothing on the AV.
I was actually looking at that yesterday. Like YouTube suggested, like look at this house in Florida. So I did, and it's like $218 million, right? Like
and the Samsung TVs with like a Sonos soundbar everywhere.
I think it was potentially even a TCL because it was like one of these enormous TVs that was flat, and it like white oak and beautiful ceilings and everything, and enormous glass pocket doors, and just no audio equipment whatsoever.
No, interior designers like a lot. Or they like in-ceiling speakers a lot because they're out of sight, out of mind. But if for someone of our breed, we don't appreciate that sound because that's not how I listen to music. I don't lay on my floor to listen to my kitchen in ceiling speakers.
Yeah. I mean, it was like 22,000 square feet or something, this house, and there was like nothing of any audio equipment whatsoever, like nothing noticeable. I didn't even spot any in ceilings.
Yeah, or they go with the stealth acoustics, which are built into the walls, right? And then they sound terrible. But yeah, it blows my mind because even like those $1 million mansions show, like it's just it's all Costco TVs, bro. Like there is nothing of anything. Oh yeah, you know, this marble whatever mantle was $110,000, and then you put a fucking $150 Zenith TV over top of it. Like, how is that cool?
So one of my close school friends was house sitting a friend of his place around the corner from me, and his friend bought the biggest house in the area for 18 months ago for like £5 million, right? That's top end for my area, right? So he goes, "You got to come and see. You got to come and see it." And I'd seen it when it was advertised on the realtor's website, and it looked quite nice, right? I went to see it, and it's it's a biggish house. It's nice, right? And he's like, "Look," he goes, "It's got Sonos everywhere." And he kept on banging on at me. He goes, "Because you don't understand, it's got Sonos in every room."
Okay.
And I looked at him. He's a very close friend. And I said, "Barry, Sonos." I said, "My system beats the shit out of that." He goes, "But it's Sonos." I go,
"Yeah, you can spell it backwards too." Fuck.
I go, "Sonos." I go, that's like saying, look, I've got a
Bose.
No, I got Mazda 3 to your Ferrari doesn't stand a chance. You know what I mean?
No, it's like saying, look at my car. I've got an Audi or something, which is fine, but not, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was so funny. He looked at me, goes, "Is it not that high end?" I'm like, no.
That's a generic system, bro. That's a budget system. That system in his entire house probably costs less than the fridge he puts his fucking oranges in.
I just it was so funny. I was like, "Barry, no. Everyone's got Sonos."
Yeah, no, it's not something very unique at all. I don't Sonos, man.
Sonos.
But they do have it figured out. I gotta give them that, man. They are able to synchronize their HDMI sound with the Link speakers, which B&O does not have that ability at current time and never had. Which I don't know what's holding their pause on developing or figuring that out. That's one thing that I really would love for B&O to figure out, that you can turn on your YouTube and join it in the other room and have it synchronized instead of going to the theater to turn it down so you don't have the cacophony going on and you can listen to And I have two rooms. I have this and my bathroom. So, but still, like, you have the echo. So it's unfeasible to do.
It is. Same here. I was when I was on the old platform, I was a big user of the TV would be on here. I'd be watching like whatever sport or a game, and I'd go into the kitchen
and listen to it,
and then just go and tap the Beer Sound 2, and it was seamless, right? The echo makes it irritating.
Yes,
and I think they should figure it. Regressing like this, or make it so that you can tap and the other one like mutes essentially, right? Then you don't have the echo, but
yeah, but that doesn't really solve the problem of linking the system together, right?
Yeah, that's why I think it's weird, because we're regressing back, because we used to have these things, right? Like, that's kind of what annoys me with the whole new software, where we used to have things that we now don't anymore. On products we still have and use.
And there's no doubt the newer stuff has, forget the price going up, but the general functionality in some senses has slimmed down. Has thinned down in some senses.
Yes.
Yeah, but like I don't mean just in general. Like I know it's a minor complaint, but with like the E8s, right? Like you have like full transparency mode. You can't even set a level anymore. I think it's the same for the EQs. Like either you're listening to something or you're not. And
Have you flagged it?
I don't remember if I did or not.
Just look for a stupid response email from support.
They use probably like ChatGPT or something to respond to this. I swear to God, man, because some of these responses cannot be possibly written by a human being.
Yeah, unless you don't really understand English.
The best
or you don't know the product.
Obviously, with the volume control for the 50s disappearing recently from the app, I think I was one of the first to go through the support channel. I got those hilarious responses. What was just so funny was a week later, Mr. Lupus did it.
Yeah.
He got his first response was almost exactly the same. Please tell us the serial number of your 50s, blah, blah, blah. By the way, this is the first we've heard of this issue. Is it?
Well, they don't really have that leg to stand on much more or less because of our podcast. Because we have people from more or less all around the planet watching, and users from all around the planet watching. Some are watching us live, some are watching us afterwards. But they can still contribute to the same point that it's not just one person issue. It's the same thing with the Apple TV.
It's also
I
what the
thought it was
Discord is
this or
for.
that. And there's Discord. There's a lot of channels now that it's making it tough for B&O to pull that nonsensical card where it's like, oh, that's the first time we're hearing about it. Well, you know what? Maybe you should tune in on Sunday and you'll find out that it's not just you. Or not just one guy.
It was also the same with the Henrik's and the remotes, right? With all the screens that were on crooked. Like, we didn't know, and then on the next Monday we have 25 complaints, and it's a known thing.
Yeah. And they figured it out. Now they're straight. I actually check them every now and then still. But yeah, they're straightened out. I mean, which is funny because if you think about it, like it's just a micro adjustment on that one KUKA robot that places the glass on the glue, right? That's all it is. Really, that's all it is. Had that gone misaligned over time and they don't check the parameters like that, I don't understand.
Or the glue isn't set and you set the chassis in one of the racks on its side, right? And it just like slowly droops a bit.
Which is, I don't know how it's even acceptable because it's made in Austria, right? And Germans are very precise in engineering.
They're not Germans.
Ah, okay. Or maybe have too many of these Vienna lattes and then hands are shaky, and that's how displays are mounted. But yeah, that's that was addressed, thankfully. But I think
maybe
that they should
make
address
it on top of a mountain on an angle.
But they should address, because the backlighting request is it's a few years old request. It's not something that we just start talking about last week or 2 weeks ago. This has been ongoing since even I guess the 4th or 5th episode of the podcast. When I joined in, we discussed it too, about backlighting the remote and so on. It's been a long time. We've been doing this podcast for 6 years, and we've been asking for that remote for 6 years, man. It's been 6 years, B&O. Please wake up, please.
Well,
Max had an idea of like putting some braille dots on certain buttons, which would also help quite a bit.
Yeah, but how big those buttons? Like, you're gonna have those? Like, what are you gonna put, nipples on everything, or how many are you gonna put? And then if you have people like, okay, put it this way. Sometimes if we have a huge project, right?
Volume up.
Just flick the tit. But if put it this way, like if I do, let's say, a full week of I would call it the hard labor, which is pre-wiring, because you're pulling cables, your hands dry up through the drywall, pulling shit, like you're on a construction site more or less, and you do 2, 3, 4 days of it, my fingers get callous, and especially when you're trimming out cables, when you're twisting the wires, like it really gets on your fingers. And then when I get home, I barely feel the ridges on the buttons on the remote control, period.
Yes.
So that still does not solve the problem. I've seen one guy, we have a client that he took You know those rubber bumpers that you have in the kitchen so the doors don't smack on the wood when you close the doors in the cabinets? He put one on the back button. It fucking works miracles because it really gives you a nice, good reference point of where you are. But it looks like shit. It looks terrible. But you know what? Whatever works. But I think they should revisit the idea of a full app control remote that, you know, yes, charge it. People will still buy it, man. They will. I know they will. If you can find enough people to buy a teal green $4,000 premium BeoSound 2 or the Beogram 4002C with the titanium colored 18s for $56,000, you could make a remote that people would buy still, you know?
Whatever you do, don't cheap out on SoCs like you did in the moment.
Yes.
I'd pay more if I knew it was a better SoC.
That was its main issue, right? The SoC.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, aren't we due in April to get the 9000?
Something like that. I don't think we're supposed to talk about that sort of thing that everybody knows about, essentially.
Well, I have no idea when it was coming.
Same. Again, if the 9000 reimagined with whatever the thing is, speakers, they're probably 28s with it, because why would you promote 50s or 90s? Or
it's coming out.
Yeah, but essentially it's going to be 50 grand or so. I mean, the FCC also has some headphones in the lineup, which I unfortunately suspect are the 100th anniversary thing.
When's the 100th
My suspicion, honestly, and this is talking with the tinfoil hat on my head, given how they had been buying the 9000s for this Biosystem 9000C, whatever, BD, whatever they call it, right? It's going to be 9000 something. Let's say they are with 28s. I suspect that there's going to be a revamp for the BeoLab 5s for the 100th anniversary based on the fact that the trade-in program from the 50s came out. That they're gathering speakers because we had to send the trade-ins back to Denmark. We couldn't resell them. So I have a suspicion that there's going to be not much creativity other than a special, maybe they're going to just do 100 pairs for the 100th anniversary at astronomical price with the new chassis and maybe updated drivers if you even need to, or the updated
you need to for the 15-inch driver for sure. That's way too sloppy these days.
Yes. So I suspect that we're going to see a BeoLab 5 anniversary edition for the 100th anniversary. That's my suspicion. And
I think you're right. From what my dealer told me, they were super surprised at how many 5s they got back for 50s. So I think they got quite a lot back.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Or they're just gathering chassis, which is, I don't think that excuse is valid, that they're gathering chassis so they can keep their old clients happy.
Not at a 15 grand discount.
I agree.
Because that was the first time that they would actually give a shit this way. So that is my suspicion. I'm not saying that I had read it anywhere. I don't know shit when it comes to that, as far as how
could
far
be a
up we go.
one, right? Like take the chassis for the non-redesigned ones and keep the actual physical product for whatever you do with it new.
That also could be a possibility too, that they will just use the body of the speaker with new electronics inside it. Hopefully they don't put the Mozart on the top of that lens.
The body still looks, the form factor still looks
stunning,
sensational.
Yes, like that's a timeless design of a speaker, and maybe it'll be an homage to David Lewis and his design, like the 9000 is. I don't know. I just have a strong suspicion that they're not going to create any new speakers, and I don't think that they can really top themselves currently with what they have in portfolio as far as the BeoLab 90s are concerned. Because how do you top that? Do you make it bigger? Do you make it smaller? There's not really much wiggle room for a speaker that size, because then you also combat physics with these drivers and the power that they have and everything else, and the heat dispersion and blah, blah, blah. There is a lot to it.
Where would you position these new 5s in terms of price, though? In between 50s and 90s?
I would think so.
Below 50s?
I don't think they're going to be below 50s, given the fact that how much this, historically looking at the BeoSound or the BeoGram now 4000C, right? It's an astronomical price compared to, it was 10 grand if you bought it naked, and then with the cabinet deal, and then 18s on a side with the wireless transmitter built in, with the Halo that has a charging pad built into the cool, right? So cool. But at the end of the day, the freaking cabinet cost you 30 grand, bro. In reality, because you could have bought, except the fact that you don't get the specific anodized, the collectible anodization for the 18s. So I would predict and position those speakers in between the 50s and 90s, maybe a little bit below the 50s.
It depends how special edition. It depends how reimagined they do them, right? If they are a proper reimagined product, there's no way they're less than 50s. No way.
No, I agree.
Zero chance.
But do you then end up with a speaker that's more expensive than 50s, but can't compete sonically?
But as a collector, do you care?
I think
because you have that, nose up to other people. Well, but I have one of the 100 set of the 50s type of thing, or 5s, right? Well, cool, good for you, and I respect that. There are people that absolutely love those speakers.
I think you're on the right. I think you're on the right lines.
But I just strongly suspect that there's going to be something with the anniversary, and I'm sorry if I burst the bubble, BNO, but you're very suspicious about your recent trade-in program.
Yeah, it wasn't weird at all that for like a 25-year-old speaker by now, almost, you can get 15 grand all of a sudden from the people that used to make them.
Only if you trade in. So yeah, they haven't lost much on the profit margin, I don't think, as far as trading the program. I think that's all but the gain for B&O.
Sure, but even if you traded like in a pair from 2005, right, there was no way even the most friendliest of dealer would give you 15 grand back for that.
No, there's no way.
4 grand, 5 grand?
If that.
If that.
Look, there's somebody in, I think it's New York still, on Discord trying to sell a Mark I set in excellent condition, and they're now at $2,500. Private sale.
Because everybody now figured out that you're running the risk of buying these speakers for, let's say you buy them for dirt cheap. They'll probably work, because when you buy new something, you're going to enjoy it, right? So you're going to start driving them a little bit louder than the person that had them before, type of thing. Because you want to enjoy the speakers, you want to, explore their full capability, and subsequently you fuck up your chassis. And now you are up, what, 3-4 grand per side to get it fixed?
I mean, the guy in New York, right, with the 2.5 grand, or I think it's New York area somewhere. It's on Discord for sale section. If you're looking at 50s and you think they're too expensive now, you're better off buying the 5s and then immediately trading them in for 50s.
And you get yourself a huge discount, yeah?
Yeah. You can actually buy something secondhand to be cheaper off for new.
But I would still be rather happy that they do that, let's say with the 5s, if they're going to do the 100th anniversary. Maybe what they should do is laser etch David Lewis's signature on one of the lenses. That would be a nice touch. And I know they could reference those signatures because I had seen in Thorsten Velour's office in David Lewis Designers when I was in Denmark, when David Lewis practiced his signature on one of the mid-range lenses for when the release was happening, because the way that the Sharpie, and they needed to pick the proper pen because of the ridging of the anodizing, right? The machine, you can't really write on it well, and nothing that leaks, into the groove. So they were exploring the idea of what pen they're going to sign these speakers with. So there's a lens with about 15 or 20 David Lewis's signatures all around it. So I'm sure that they can take one and digitize it and laser engrave it on the speakers. You're welcome, for my idea. I think you should do that.
Don't do it in the front, do it in the back, though.
Well, I think you're on the right lines. Over the last few years, I don't know when the 100th anniversary is. Which year is it?
Next year.
Next year, yeah.
November 17th, 2025.
I see reasonably often people posting. They're assuming that 100th anniversary product will be a bigger, something to surpass the 90s. I'm like, why?
I don't see it that way.
I wouldn't automatically, because the 90s came out for the 90th anniversary, right?
Yes, sir.
Doesn't automatically mean the 100th anniversary will be a
bigger speaker.
A bigger speaker. I think that's it.
I think with the 90s they had reached the ceiling of not affordability, but affordability of having something in the home that is not uber dominating, because the 90s already are quite dominating in the space, especially if you go with the black or darker tone colors on the sales. They have a lot more presence.
$150,000 now, which I guess is peanuts for the very high net worth individuals like Sandeep, right?
You know what? Everybody, when the speakers came out, everybody complained that they were too cheap for what they do, especially from the audiophile industry on the third party side, because to achieve that amount of sound from anything else but 90s, you're looking at least $200,000 worth of amplifier gears and whatever else for the preamps and your stacked of equipment and so on and so forth. And even then, I think you'd be hard pressed to get to the levels of not just quality but also the power output that the 90s have.
Do you see Andrew Robinson's comment recently? He's added another webcast to his little series. We just does Q&A.
Mm-hmm.
And someone asked him about future setups. And then he only spent a minute or two on this. Remember his community, very diverse, right? Not BNO. But his comment was, given where he is in his life, given how he wants his home, the only thing he'd want are 50s or 90s, he was making a point not about just the quality of the sound, but just this aesthetic, the simpleness of the setup. Because he is very much, he does his audiophile stuff, but he's the recovering audiophile. He's done with some of the nonsense. I reckon he'll get them. I reckon, given how much he kind of refers to them, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets them in the next couple of years for himself.
Yeah.
I think I just came to that conclusion earlier, right? Having lived with B&O for longer, but that's, I think, how most people come to B&O, to that conclusion. Like, why do I need all this crap everywhere? Like, can't. And
think of all the extra added fun that's been added to the ride. It works. It doesn't work. It doesn't. Where's it gone?
Well, for that matter,
but it still looks good. It still looks good.
The 50s. 18 months in, more or less, were rock solid and always have been since then. I mean, barring a few manufacturing defects, which is can happen to anybody. You may just be unfortunate, but my second set has been rock solid from the day it got here.
I know we joke about the darkly joke about the price of these things now, but it does make me a little bit sad. It makes me a little bit sad that they're the current price and how many people it takes out of the existing
equation.
Takes it out of the loop, because I got there, I guess, just in time, end of 2020. But if I had waited, I'd be in the loop that you see a lot of the people posting on the forum, right? I'm trying to improve the sound. I want to add this. How do I do this? Whatever. Trying to make a modern music and video setup work, right? And trying to fit newer streaming stuff with older speakers. Whereas obviously the 50s are obviously at a certain sound level, have all the connectivity, have all the new stuff, and it is the answer. Let's absent room considerations. It is 50s, 90s are the answer. They are your end game answer for probably a lot of existing customers, and it does make me a little bit sad that actually, 50 grand.
They're out of the picture.
50 grand is too much. Whereas, spending 25 grand on them is still an awful lot of money, but can be reached by it brings a lot more people in, and therefore a lot more people have been taken out. It makes me a little bit sad.
Same. Well, also they're quite literally straight up saying they don't really want us as customers.
Yeah,
which is kind of a weird thing to hear from something you've supported most of your life, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the thing I like about 18s or 50s for that matter is that they're smart enough to be dumb enough that it doesn't really matter what happens in the future. Like they're their own contained thing. They're not Mozart. They're not like touch panel. They're not weird things that can't be replaced or are very oddly specific.
They're a digital speaker with analog capabilities. That's it.
Yeah.
But it's nice then in that respect. I mean, I don't have the 18s anymore, but generally everyone reports that the new core breathes some quite nice new life into those 18s.
Yeah. But the only way you can really ruin 18s is by like unplugging them while there's something playing and or plugging them in while a source is active. Like it's very hard to kill them. Like you have to really try.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, once you install 18s, you never physically touch them for years on it.
No, you dust them and that's it.
Which is like how B&O always was, which that's kind of the irking thing about the whole Mozart app everything, right? Like it's no longer that.
Everything is a little too smart for its own good, in my opinion. I think that there should be a limitation to what products you stuff this crap into and what products you don't. To me, personally, BeoLab 8s, it's completely unnecessary to have Mozart inside them.
I think they'd be better without them, yeah.
But that's just the way they're going, right? Everything's going to have their Mozart in it and whatever. Yes, you can still, have them as dumb speakers, but like you've paid for all this interface on a top glass that you will never touch, because we have people that have them mounted as height speakers type of thing. You don't even get to wipe them.
So isn't that I've never had any of them 28s or 8s, but isn't that from what I see from like people posting little quirky issues when they've got them, is they've got them connected to a theatre, acting as beer labs, no issue. But then when they want to just use them as a stereo pair just to play some music, i.e. taking the theatre out of the equation, then they get all these quirky kind of issues.
Also, they don't sound the same tuned in or when they're tuned with the theater versus on their own. There's a little more bass in them in the theater.
So my one experience of hearing the 8s, they were connected to a theatre. I've only heard them for like half an hour once. I was much more impressed by the 8s than I was by the 28s.
Yeah.
Is it also because of the size? Because they are.
It is partly because of the size, but I thought there was no bass boominess in the same way. I thought the cleanliness of the bass was like really, and I'm not a bass head, I'm the other way around. I thought the cleanliness of the bass was, and how dynamic it was, I thought that's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, I thought it was already kind of noticeable when the 28s came out and then the theater came out, and like it's almost like they understood, like go a bit back on the bass, because effectively the theater is a 28 or two 28s stuck together, right, in terms of capabilities, but it's nowhere near as like oomphy and boom boom.
Is the 28s have got the downward facing bass though? That's the issue to me, I guess. I'm guessing.
I think it's also just the tuning.
Yeah.
Because they
a lot of it has to do with
even
tuning.
the room compensation sweep doesn't fix that, right? Like, and it can if you wanted it to.
28s throw down a lot more than they should. I've had them here over Christmas, watch some movies, listen to some music. They sound like two different speakers. It's basically an A and B. A is on their own. B is with the theater when they're tuned and properly sounding, and they sound much better with the theater. The theater corrects everything that is acoustically, in my opinion, wrong with them when they're sitting on their own. And also, they're very sensitive to what floor they're sitting on. Like, you know, being in Montreal, a lot of these old houses and stuff that, you know, even our showroom is an old home, and it's floor is wood and it's old, so it's got a lot more acoustical flex to it than a modern concrete condo apartment, right?
Yeah.
And I think the 28s really require a very hard surface to stand on in order to shine. But
I remember.
I don't know. I'm not a sound engineer, but I just know what sounds good and what doesn't sound good to my ear. And the 28s versus the 8s, I would take 2 pairs of 8s with the subwoofer than spending the money on the 28s. And I'm sorry for whoever bought the 28s. I'm not, you know, your decision is your decision, but mine would be that one. I would rather do that. And based on the fact that I have a theater, if you just bought a single pair of 28s with the Halo remote and you're happy with it, good for you.
Well, it's not like the
Good for
28
everybody.
sound bad, right? It's also...
No, they don't. It's just the problem with the 28s that I have, that if you have the theater per se or anything, and then you just have them stereo paired while the system is off, you have 2 different acoustic images, or there's 2 different sound signatures, rather said.
I mean, I also think if you're new to B&O, the 28s don't have the same connotation as it does to us, because we've been used to B&O sound for, what, at least a decade, if not 2 now? And everything else used to sound different than the current 28s did or do. So if you're coming from another brand, the 28s may sound brilliant, because like Andrew Robinson thought they sounded brilliant. And they kind of do, but they don't necessarily sound B&O. But that's only because you're so used to B&O that you know what B&O throughout the ages sounded like. And this is kind of a departure from that.
It is.
It's their new sub-brand. Beats by B&O.
Pretty much.
But if essentially nobody wants, or well, if B&O doesn't want to sell subwoofers anymore, it does the job.
Yeah.
That's another scary thought that I think is going to happen. They're going to probably move away from the subwoofer completely.
I mean, the BCC's got no sub connectivity. That's a hint.
Yes,
yeah.
Which that's the only gripe I really have with it. It's like, why is there no sub out? This is nutty.
I think we've seen a number of people post, I've got 18s and a 19. I want to get a BCC. What do I do?
The same as you always did it, but
you daisy chain it.
Yeah.
Right. You go from the 18 to the 19, or from the 18 to 18 to 19. Or do it like B&O says and put a power link splitter for no reason between them.
Yeah.
But you can daisy chain them that way. And that was the idea from the very beginning when the BeoLab 19 came out, that it no longer has the crossover network like the BeoLab 2 to shave down, the 120 hertz out of the bottom of the speakers, because they were relying on the fact that now we have ABL built into each speakers. They're more intelligent. Therefore, the bass will reduce itself as you're driving them harder, and the sub will just do what it does, just louder.
The Moment has 2.1 control.
Yes, so does the transmitter 1.
Yeah.
Are you waiting for a Moment buyback program?
Well, actually, selling it here second-hand already is effectively a Moment buyback program, because holy crap, are they expensive over here?
Yeah, they're $1,500
or something like that.
Yeah.
Go for it, whoever wants to put up.
I mean, I bought mine at an auction, and I got it for really fucking cheap.
Yeah, you can still make money on it.
I was delighted.
Not just some money, but like a lot of money.
I sold mine 2020. I was delighted that someone paid me £700 for mine. I was like, goes, can I come and collect it? I'm like, I'll drive it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that the new 9000 is going to be interesting. I don't think I'll ever see it because we're not going to be ordering that thing in the shop whenever it comes out. So
I want to see whatever is for their 100th birthday, be that headphones or be that BeoLab 55s or BeoLab 5Cs or.
I think that would probably what I would call them is because they're sticking with the thousands like the olden days, right? I think it's going to be BeoLab 5000C.
I think what they should actually do is call them the BeoLab 5 VHNWI.
No, but I think they're going to have a C in the back for sure.
And only those who are in the know, no.
I don't know.
VHNYIC. That works. It just stands for customers this time.
No, but I think that I'm right. I think I hope I'm not, but I think I'm gonna be right about the fives. That's just my suspicion, given the track history of the recalls. Not you can't call them recalls, the buybacks.
Or just call them BeoLab Century.
There you go.
Century. 100 years. Anyway, thank you everybody for watching. I'm going to call it a day for today. Hope everybody.
Thanks for popping in, Sunday.
Good to see you guys.
See you next time.
And bye bye.
Bye bye.